Pressed for time, overwhelmed, but still want a spiritual connection, then this one's for you. Hi, Akarja. I am Lora O'Brien, my friends, speaking to you from County Waterford for the Irish Pagan School YouTube channel. If you've ever felt too busy or too overwhelmed for spiritual practice, you could be overwhelmed by family, by work, by just life in general, by gestures at everything. Trust me, you're not alone. I grew up surrounded by stories and traditions here in Ireland. And I'll be honest, for years, fitting what I thought had to be rituals and of Irish pagan practice into my hectic schedule as a single working mother for a very long time really just felt impossible to me. And I felt like I was the worst pagan ever for a very, very long time. So I'm going to just share a quick story, just a little example of that, right? Because years back, after a very long and draining tour, I was running the Rathcroghan Heritage Centre. I was the manager there, but I was also working as a tour guide for groups, particularly that would come in, or for anybody who would come on a spiritual pilgrimage. It was kind of my bag. And it had been a really, really long, draining day and evening at work. And I found myself wrapped in a blanket on the soggy hillside just down from the cottage that we were living in County Roscommon, feeling guilty that I just hadn't done enough. I had no rituals, no candles, not even a proper prayer. I think it was probably a fire festival, honestly. And we've just passed Lunasa as I record this, but this could be relevant to any time of the year. It could be a full moon cycle. It could be, insert X, Y, and Z that we tend to feel guilty over for not being proper pagans, right? So I was very much feeling that. And as I sat there in the drizzle, I realized that my actual Irish spirituality, not the Wiccan practice that I had trained in for a few years, not the thalamic practice that I had been adjacent to for a few years, not that, but my own true Irish spirituality, my connection was all about small acts. And that's the culture and that's the living tradition. And when those things kind of married for me, or clicked, really is a better way of saying it. They really clicked together for me. That realization that I didn't have to wait for a full moon. I didn't have to wait for a fire festival. I didn't have to, perform a big involved ritual, a calling down of the gods and all of that, right? It was just in the everyday, in the mundane. That was where my spirituality was and is to this day. Honestly, it's only gotten stronger. And it all starts with these small acts. So from then, I really started to view every moment as a chance for connection. Ritual is built from real life. Ritual is real life. Ritual is the things that we do every single day in our real lives. That's the literal meaning of ritual. And these are the practices. This is the practice, not perfection or some idea of perfection. So, today, what I'd like to do is walk you through kind of three small connection practices, very simple things that will only take a few minutes every day, hopefully, for you. And we're going to slow it down. We're going to bring in some Irish blessings and language and give you a really practical, flexible foundation. So, no matter where you are in the world or how busy you are. So, first off, we're going to start where you are. You just have to arrive, right? You have to kind of leave all that preconception, leave all that guilt. Now, I know this is easier said than done, believe me, but just kind of leave it at the doorstep. And it doesn't matter where you are in the world or what you're doing right now. You could be on your lunch break. You could be squeezing this in before bedtime or, first thing in the morning before the family gets up. Or you might have children or pets or chaos of traffic or anything in the background. So wherever you are right now, I want you to just stop for a second. Just take a deep breath and breathe it out fully and slowly. And understand that that's a ritual. That's a practice. And if that's all you've got, that is enough for now. It's definitely enough to get started with. So, did you do it? Are you going to do it again? I recommend 3 breaths, 1 slow in, hold it for a few seconds, and then exhale fully. And as you exhale, try and really feel it in your core that you are exhaling all the way down to the ground, right? And for me, these micro moments really became my lifeline. Again, hugely busy work. I was also writing books. I was working as a journalist. I was doing all these things on the side to try and, survive and make ends meet as a single parent, as well as in a really busy and demanding job, right? Dealing with people every day, which for anybody who knows me for a hot minute knows that was very, very draining on all of my energy and resources. But these micro moments and this practice really became, like I said, a lifeline for me. My practice was sometimes just standing in the driveway, taking a breath, offering a silent thought to the land that I stood on just before I kind of rushed inside to start the next phase. And that was connection, and that counted, and I allowed it to count. So if you need permission for that, if you have any, I suppose, any view of me as somebody who could give you any kind of permission, grand. I don't think you do, but if you need the permission, that's your permission. That's connection. That counts, right? All of this is. So we're going to start with, we're going to continue with a greeting or a blessing of the land. And really this sense of place is so important in the Irish tradition. So what we have very often is, through our mythology even, is all of these stories that are being told of wars and battles and gods and goddesses and, changing of the tribes on the land and, comings and goings off the island of Ireland, all of that in our mythology. And woven through all of that, even the big sagas like the cattle raids, right? Because there was more than one, is what's called Dinhenicus. And Dinhenicus means the lore of place names or the wisdom of place names. Shenicus would be wisdom in older Irish, right? So Irish pagan practice is about honoring place. It's about acknowledging the land that you stand on. And if you want to connect to this island of Ireland, it's about honoring this island, right? So we're gonna use gods for the blessings because everybody does. Not everybody, that's not true. A lot of people are interested in bringing the old Irish, the old gods, the old Irish gods into their spiritual practices. If that's not you, that's fine. You can go with something completely different, right? But for now, what you can do is you can bless or welcome or thank the land, right? So some ways that we can do it in the Irish language. So this is the one that we're going to be going with for the other blessings as well, this kind of model. gcoinní na Déithe an talamh slán. May the gods keep the land safe. So I'll say that again. gcoinní na Déithe an talamh slán. Now, again, if you don't want to go with gods, you can say Guramahagut a Holav. You're addressing the land directly, the ground directly. It means thank you, land, literally. Or you can welcome it, you can greet it, you can say Fáilte roat a Holav. Now, it's a little odd to be addressing the ground or the land itself as like an entity, like a one-to-one like that. But I wanted to give non-God versions if that's something you want to go with. But for the may the gods keep the land safe, as a prayer, as a blessing, as a connection for you, I think that that's very worthwhile to do in this day and age. So, gcoinní na Déithe an talamh slán. Cool. So while you're saying that, you might quietly stand or sit. I'll put these phrases down below as well in the description. So please go and check that out if you want to see them written out as well. I know the, what's it called? Transcription messes up the Irish language quite significantly. So I will put them down below for you as well. Please check the descriptions on all of our videos. There's really good resources and stuff in those. But while you're saying these, you might like quietly stand or sit. You can let your hand rest on a stone or a tree or on the ground itself and say your chosen blessing aloud or just in your own mind. And honestly, wherever you are in the world, this is a way to root yourself both physically and spiritually. So pause, breathe the words in, and understand that the land beneath you carries stories, ancestors, gods, lore, wisdom, and deserves to be honored and to be kept safe. That was cool, right? Hopefully. But let's go a step further. Let's make a little offering as well. Now, this is a micro offering. Obviously, offerings can be anything, but we're going to do really, really practical, simple step here with another blessing. So for busy lives, again, we're going to keep it easy and real. And you can do all of these practices together, or you can just do them one at a time, or you can do whatever you remember in the moment as you're stepping out from the car, as I was, or sitting in your garden outside your house, or on your balcony, or wherever you live, right, by a window. So this micro offering, what I want you to do is offer a few drops of water from your bottle or whatever you're drinking yourself. You can also like make an offering if you're visiting a place. You can make an offering. I was going to say you could leave something, but I don't actually recommend leaving things at places that you visit. So something that's going to be not have a detrimental effect, not have a bad effect on the ground that you're offering. So honestly, like sticking with water is fine, or if you're drinking a herbal tea or something like that, just make that offering with your honest intention, and it's enough. Again, back to that, it's enough. You're enough. This is enough. I have sometimes had nothing but like just a few crumbs from my lunch, or simply my own breath, my will, my intent, right? It's enough. So as you do this, what I'd like you to do is name your ancestors or the gods that you feel drawn to. You could go with Bridget, the Déithe, the Morrigan, Lou, or honestly, anybody from the Irish pantheon. Or again, simply your ancestors. So when we talk about tuath, Tuath, this is what we call our tribe, our people. And if you didn't want to go with gods, right, we'll start with the gods one and then we'll give you one for the ancestors as well. So may the gods keep the tribe or the people safe would be gcoinní na Déithe an tuath slán. Again, gcoinní na Déithe an tuath slán. Now, it might sound a little bit odd, but if you're talking about previous tuath, previous ancestors, literally your own tribe, your own people, right? What you could do is gcoinní na tuath an tuath slán. So may the previous tribe keep the current tribe safe, or the previous people, as in your people, keep the current people safe, right? So that's just as an option. Again, if you don't want to work with the gods, that's fine. But Irish spirituality is really about the land and the people working together. And this is very, very embedded in the role of sovereignty in our culture. And I do actually dig into this quite a lot in my new book on the Morrigan. So it's the Morrigan, an Irish perspective. And the idea of the land and the people working together is really important, because it helps us to understand and to contextualize that, like, we are part of a community. Everybody is part of a community, and we can be more communal. We have evolved as humans to be communal, and it's so, so important. So whether you're living in Ireland or far away, each offering builds connection. And again, it's building connection to the people and the tribe and the community here, through the Irish Pagan School, tuath. If you want to be part of our tuath, you're very, very welcome. Tá fáilte rud. And really, that connection between the land and the people working together is very, very important and vital, I believe, not just for your own personal Irish spirituality, pagan practice, but again, for the health and longevity of humans generally. We need to be working more communally. We need to be doing mutual aid. We need to be acknowledging that we are connected to the land and the people, right? So all of that is very important. But there is one more thing that I don't want you to forget, and that's yourself. So blessing yourself is quite important too. And this is our third blessing for today. So this is self-care in Irish paganism. And there's, of course, many ways to do this, right? But within my Irish practice, we don't forget self-care. And this is very important to me. While it, funnily, right, I don't think that this is like part of my ancestral tradition or part of our cultural context, because we subjugated ourselves. We were subjugated for so long. And then as a people, we subjugated ourselves and subjugated each other. And we kept ourselves down. We put ourselves last. We're still very self depreciating. So while this isn't part of our tradition as such, for me, it is, because it's part of a rebalancing. And I think it's really important to remember this and to honor our ancestors and our cultural lineage and our history and our, decolonization practices and all of that in this way. So what you can say is, after you greet and you offer the land and the people, turn a moment to yourself. Just take that moment for yourself. Okay. Or again, you can do any of these separately if you would prefer. But what you're going to say is, gcoinní na Déithe slán mé. Now, you could also say slán mé féin, but what it more or less translates to is, may the gods keep me safe. Or gcoinní na tuath slán mé. So may my people keep me safe. As in my ancestors, right? Or the ancestors, I suppose, more technically correct to the Irish I just gave you. So I'm going to give you the gods one again. Gcoinní na Déithe slán mé. It changes slightly because adjectives and pronouns and yeah. But what it means, more or less, again, my Irish isn't perfect, but this is my understanding. May the gods keep me safe, right? If you were saying it to somebody else, you would say in everyday speech, like, Tuath Déithe féin, take care of yourself. And you would often end a meeting, like as in when you meet somebody, take care of yourself, excuse me, would be something that we would say quite often. But taking care of ourselves, our own selves, is a little bit more difficult in Irish culture. So you can take this as your blessing for the path, for your own path, especially for those of us who feel or have felt unworthy or we're not doing enough. Just pause and imagine yourself wrapped up in the protection and the care woven by generations before you. So while we have a difficult time taking care of ourselves, we're very much about taking care of each other. So your ancestors, the people that you have come from, the people within the Irish paganism tuath that we build here at the Irish Pagan School, our tribe wants to take care of you and wants you to take care of yourself. So let it settle in. This is your sacred right that was taken from you. If you have Irish ancestry, or if you're an Irish person living on the island right now, this was taken. This self-care, this element of being able to feel worthy was taken from us. So we're decolonizing that, as well as, practically take care of ourselves. So this is your sacred right, and you are part of this living tradition. So when we talk about Irish pagan traditions here at the Irish Pagan School, we're not talking about something that is absolutely enshrined in amber, or, archaeologically excavated from the past. That's our starting point. But the lived practice, the living tradition, the cultural context is very, very important. And that's what makes this a living tradition that we practice, right? So, relatable moments for myself, maybe just to share. Again, I'm not trying to sit on some far off ivory tower and say, like, it's my way or the highway, or the only things I ever teach are the things I needed to learn. Honestly, that is like my whole kind of personal statement is, I want to be the person that I needed, right? I want to provide the resources that I needed, because I know that there are other people who need them too. So back when my own kids were small, they're all grown now. My youngest is 20 as I record this. But when my kids were small and my days very, very chaotic, I would squeeze in just a few minutes, honestly, sometimes 30 seconds or a minute. I would say a quick Guramahagut. I would thank anything and everything, from the land to a tree to just these moments of mindfulness, we'd call it these days. We didn't have that terminology back 30 years ago when I was doing this, right? But just as I set my foot on the ground, whispering a blessing as I offered rainwater after a long school run, these moments would never have been Instagram worthy rituals. They would never have been something that would be set up in a hotel conference room, and people would come to watch because the rituals were so dramatic, right? None of that. But over time, they deepened my relationship. They grew, and they deepened my relationship with the land, with the gods, with myself. And wherever you are in your life right now, maybe you have all the time in the world. Maybe you still feel overwhelmed. Maybe it's not a time thing. Maybe it's a kind of worldly chaos thing, right? Maybe your altar is your kitchen sink, or your cooker, or your commute, right? This is something that you can, like an altar, even though an altar can be a physical space, it is also metaphorically, really, something that is like designated or kind of boxed off as, this is where I do my spiritual practice, right? It can be anywhere, it can be anything. And that is real Irish paganism. That is real Irish spiritual practice. Because the power comes from repeating these steps. They seem like tiny things, but tiny things build big habits, right? And Irish paganism is relationship based. Again, it's relationship to yourself, to your people, to your family, to your land, to the animals, to the gods, to your ancestors, to whoever, right? Whatever. All of this is relationship based. It's not performance driven. It's never about performance. It's never about perfection, right? So promise yourself that you can return to this tomorrow, even if just for a moment, right? Miss a day, no shame. Just come back again. Try not to miss 2 days, right? Everything, days happen, days get out of control. Suddenly you're, waking up the next morning going, oh shit, I never did that yesterday. Grand. Try not to make it a habit, right? Because what you're looking to do is build that consistency of practice. And this like really simple cycle, just blessing the land, offering to the people, and caring for yourself, this is how Irish spiritual practice is built over days, over months, over your lifetime. So, like, set a reminder, leave a token by your door, involve your family or your housemates, mark it on your calendar, and just pick one or all three of those Irish blessings, or, write your own or say your own. They don't have to be in the Irish language, but it's very easy to translate them into Irish if you would like to. I will not be doing anybody's translating. Please do not contact me for that service. It is not something I provide. But pick something and stick with it, and then let the words become familiar and woven into your daily rhythm. Really practical suggestions for all of us who are, busy people. Try breathing a blessing as you start your commute. Try whispering the words while pouring a drink. Again, it could be a tea, a coffee, a water. Try leaving a small stone at your favorite spot in your home. Try sharing blessings with your children as they head to school. Try journaling the Irish phrases that speak to you the most, or that you want to learn, you want to really kind of bed in. And you can mix and match blessings for land, for people, for yourself, as it fits your need. Hopefully, this is a practice that will grow. I'm not trying to give you a Bible or a manual. I'm trying to give you ideas and inspiration and confidence and resources so that you develop a personal practice that is right for you, but grounded and rooted in authentic Irish connection. That's my absolute overarching mission, is get real information out there, but people have to do the work. But doing the work doesn't have to be complicated, right? So too long, don't read. Micro practice is, if you need a quick version for hectic days, just breathe and arrive. Again, take that breath. Honor or bless the land. Gcoinní na Déithe an talamh, slán. Offer a small gesture, a thought, or an object, some water. Bless the people or the community. Gcoinní na Déithe an tuath, slán. And then bless yourself. Gcoinní na Déithe slán mé. And just make that commitment to return tomorrow, even if it's for 1 minute. What did that take? Less than a minute, right? So, got it? I would love to hear how your practice looks. Again, it's going to be your practice. Where and how did you honor the land today? What blessing resonated with you the most? What really struck you from the video? What did you agree with? If you're going to come on and call me harsh and gatekeeping and all the rest of it, honestly, I'm done with it. I'm done apologizing for it. I'm done. Please understand that I'm here out of the goodness of my own fucking heart, trying to help you, right? If you don't want it, fine. Just go on about your business, right? But if something resonated with you, please share. Please share in the comments, come into the Irish Pagan School Facebook groups, come into our community at the Irish Pagan School if you're a student there. And again, you can enroll in one of the free classes. You don't have to pay us anything. And you will get access to the community that is part of the school itself. So it's off Facebook. All of that, I'd love to hear, right? I read everything. I don't always get to reply, but I read everything. I see everything that comes in. And free gift. Would you like a free gift? Would you like even more resources? If you want more practical steps, language help, rituals for busy lives, grab your free PDF guide, which is Daily Spiritual Practices in Irish Paganism for Busy Lives. And you can get that at irishpagan.school/practices. And the link for that is below, as well as, again, the written out version of these Irish language blessings. Okay. That PDF is full of just these little micro practices, Irish blessings, language support a little bit, ways to adapt authentic Irish paganism wherever you are. And please, again, don't take any of this as like some sort of weird Bible. Please, please, please take it as a root from which your own personal practice is going to grow, right? So, slán go fóill, friends. Goodbye for now. Good night on Boher live. May the road rise up to meet you, which is another Irish blessing. And I really hope and I wish, and it is my prayer and my blessing today, that the land, the gods, the people are safe. Each of us is safe. And whatever we can do to contribute to that, let's do it. Let's build positive things in our own lives, for the land, for the people. Okay. And I will see you in the next video. Slán.